Hello, everyone. Welcome to LOA Uncorked. This is Holly,
And this is Gina.
and this is early in the morning,
It is early.
but we're so excited.
Super excited.
We're going to
Couldn't
get
be
to
more.
talk about things that are near and dear to our heart again today. And we had a little meet and greet with Susanne, who's going to be here today. And she's pretty incredible, Gina.
I know. And I think really brings a new experienced background conversation to our LOA listeners. And cannot wait for this conversation.
Absolutely. Susanne Frandsen, the author of Director's Manual, Leading from the Heart. It's in Danish only right now, but hopefully maybe someday in English. And she also has a book that I was passionate about reading this weekend, and I got a little preview of Sia and the Magic Stone. This is a beautiful book for, I don't think it's just children. And I'm going to say, Gina,
I agree.
I felt like it should be a movie. It was quite magical, kind of like Wizard of Oz, or I don't know. It was very magical, and I'm not quite done yet. Otherworldly, so beautiful. It's coming in English. I'm sure it's going to be published here. I'd love all of our children and our adults to read it.
Yeah, and it's
amazing.
Received great praise in its Danish form as well.
In Denmark, yes.
Yep, Denmark.
So Susanne Frandsen is also a transformational public speaker, coach, and healer. But I don't think it ends there, because her gifts, wait till you hear about some of the things she brings along with her. That doesn't do it justice, right?
Right.
And she's also a facilitator of the new leadership paradigm for individuals and organizations. I think she's pretty kick-ass badass, and we have her here. Welcome, Susanne, to LOA Uncorked.
Welcome, Susanne.
Thank you so much. I've been looking forward to talking to you ladies again.
Likewise.
Yes.
See what flow brings us.
Yes,
for sure. And we just had our conversation last week, and we're lucky enough to get this scheduled so quickly, so we didn't have to wait so long.
I know.
Sometimes we have to wait, and that's just a long wait, but we're thrilled that the conversation is here for us all this morning. Yeah, for sure. So Susanne, typically what we kind of start the podcast with a little bit of grounding about you. And while, as Holly just went through, you've got so much to offer and so much background and expertise that we won't get to all of it in our intro this morning. But I think what would be helpful is, as we think about our listeners and their quest to create their own path and their own life and their own lifestyle, badassery lifestyle for themselves, and that will take different shapes for different people. If you could share something about yourself that would help ground the conversation today and kind of be a good foundation for the discussion about yourself, and what really is something we should know about you that really has influenced or impacted where you are today and the work that you do.
So I'm not the kind of girl that reads things and then starts applying it. I'm the kind of girl that does it by herself, and then I teach it and pass it on. So one of the things that has been most fundamental in my journey is that I have been married 3 times and divorced 3 times. And that has been a serious wake-up journey of mine. So everything I share is something that I have ingrained and integrated on a cellular level, because it is your state of being that transforms. It is not your state of doing. So everything I've done is I've done it myself first. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt kind of thing. And I've been able to use all the teachings I've had on that journey in my professional life and my personal life. So that's how it's been grounded in me.
State of being. Can you say that again? I want to make sure that isn't lost. It's a state of being, not a state of
It's your state of being that transforms, and not your state of doing. And in our talk the other day, we talked about the art of manifesting.
Yes.
We talked about how the 3D manifesting is mostly from our inner man, the masculine. And in order for us to become balanced in the 5D world, we need to balance it with the inner woman. So when we manifest, we can actually successfully manifest from our inner man, but we cannot successfully only manifest from our inner woman. The inner woman needs the man to do, but it is where, you know, she's the space holder.
Right.
To give you an example, I can tell that I taught a class about what I teach people, and then I met one of the girls in the grocery store, you know, a couple of months after, and I just came up to her and I just asked, so how are you? And, you know, she broke down in tears just by that question. Yes. And it is a question whether you yourself has been able to hold space for every frequency on the emotional scale, you know, the Hawking scale, where you measure all the emotions, right? So if, for example, you're tied up in fear or tied up in guilt or shame, the people that come into your field will not automatically open up. But if you are comfortable in all frequencies, it is your being that transforms, because it allows them to move into that frequency as well. And that is where you're becoming untied. So when I have, you know, one-on-one sessions, it's usually 4 hours long. But if people would feel comfortable, I mean, I could just sit and look into the eyes of people. It is not really what I'm saying, it is what I am being. But I'm packing into words for, you know, the mind to understand. So what is this all about? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Total sense.
Well, 100. I mean,
I've never heard it explained like that before, though. I love that explanation. I always think of it as like you're kind of holding space for people. Right. I think of it a little bit like that. Is that?
Well, yeah. And I also think, you know, being responsible for your energetic impact, or kind of what you bring to an interaction as well, right?
Is it responsibility though?
Maybe not responsible, maybe mindfulness is mindfully showing up higher on that scale than maybe you may feel for the day or something.
Not as much high on the scale, but just allowing what is.
What is, yeah. Oh, you know, because we struggle with that. I mean, you know, we struggle with like being in our feelings, and that's what your book, you know, See in the Magic Stone. I found like I actually had a tear at one point because I was like, you know, it's okay to be sad, you know, and it's okay to feel that, and you have to feel it to move through it. I led a childhood that I didn't want to feel anything. And so you forget how to even find yourself on the scale. Like, you know, what are you feeling today, Susanne? And she'd be like, well, I'm happy, you know, today. You don't know where you're at on the scale when you repress it.
Right.
No.
And you can't manifest from that standpoint. I think I do want you to go back and talk about, I know that when we talk about the masculine and the feminine, we're not really talking about male and female as we think of them. We're talking about the energies of them. They're not genitalia. I mean, you know, if that's not what we're talking about, right?
Well, both genders have both energies present within them. And both men and women has been manifesting primarily from the masculine, the inner man. Right. From doing, performing. And you know, the time that we are moving ourselves into is to take inspired action, and the inspiration is happening in the inner woman. She's the one who's sensing everything, right? So you need to be able to, you know, be with what is, and have that contact to your inner GPS. My childhood brought me up into a environment where I was very attentive to how did other people feel about me.
Yes.
So, and if you're an empath, you're highly sensitive. You're just really good at doing that. But who's home here? No one is home here if I'm so attentive to everybody else's needs, right? So that is step number one, is to kind of pull that back and, you know, get back home.
Right. I love that. I think I had a little bit of that as well. but you know, how would you, so I love this state of being. So I'm practicing, like not always doing. So we come from, I'm going to say I have a personal issue that I thought if I wasn't doing, I'm not being productive.
Not valuable.
And I'm not valuable. And then of course I was, we know that you're from the corporate world too, but I was always a charged by the hour professional. So if I'm charging my time, I'm valuable. When I'm not charging my time, I'm not valuable. Mm-hmm. These are the messages I'm just saying. And then of course, as a, you know, mother, as a, you know, a wife, as a caretaker, as an executive, yeah. It's like, go, go, go. We're in a culture of go, go, go. Yeah. But you're right. We are leaning into this. Okay, well, how do we change that culture, or do you see the culture changing? And for our audience that is sitting there kind of like me, like if I'm sitting, I won't even say meditating, but if I'm sitting not doing anything, idle, I'm really not making the most of my life, right? Like that's a cultural thing. How would you speak to that?
Great question.
Yeah, it is a great question. And I think it comes down to, are you aligned with your purpose?
Right.
Right. And at least in my journey, at some point, I came to the point where I was longing for more. I was dreaming for more. I was longing for using all of me in what I did, right?
Right.
Both work-wise and privately, right? And what I know now from having thousands of clients is that at that point, when you can identify a longing and a dream, that is actually the signal from the universe to you that this is actually already manifested 99.9%
wow.
in the intangible field, right?
Wow.
So the last 0.1% is about the inner resistance. And the inner resistance is characterized by what you just mentioned, that I'm not productive, right? That is just a belief system, right?
Yes. Yes.
Do you recall physics? I recall in 8th grade, 9th grade, we had physics. And at one point we made this thing where we had a contact and we made a circuit. So, and then we put in this ohm resistance and more circuit, ohm resistance, more circuit, ohm resistance, and then a light bulb in the end. And then we activated the contact, right? And because of all this resistance, the light bulb was
yeah,
not really being all the light it could be, right? So if we remove this ohm resistance from the circuit and we activated the contact, it was just beaming, right? So that is just a picture for me that, you know, self-development is about removing all of this inner resistance. Like, I'm not good enough, I'm not productive enough, my needs are not necessary, you know. And what is especially bringing the inner woman to knees is one of the most primary belief systems, that I'm not lovable and my needs are not important. And this stems from our contact with our mother.
Yes.
So it's our mother's needs to see, you know, to love us for all we is, and to, you know, address all of our needs.
Right.
And if we're somehow not met in that contract, parent contract, we will walk through life believing that my needs are not important. And then we can put ourselves and become a vibrational match to a career that will solidify
a husband or two for me.
You know, so we create from that attraction point. And that's why it's so vitally important that we are okay with every frequency, because we cannot just sugarcoat it. And say, I'm okay. You know, if you have heavy frequencies of shame and guilt in your system still. And the other important belief system is that I'm not good enough, or I'm not enough, which stems from our contact with our daddy. It is
Right.
our daddy's
Oh,
finest job to see all of us, you know. So if we allocate parts of us and kind of put them out on the side because daddy gets a sad
Right.
face when we show that part of us, we become, you know, we have a feeling of emptiness because we do not feel whole, because we have disintegrated parts of us. And I could mention 10 more, you know, we could go, but the most two importance are I'm not lovable and my needs are not important, and I'm not enough, I'm not good enough. Right.
What's so incredible. I mean, listen, do you have a psychology degree too?
In another lifetime.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
You did. Because I was going to say, like, one of the things that, I mean, I've had all those things. I mean, just like whatever that list of stuff is, check the box for me.
Yeah.
But the one thing that you said was, and I wonder if it's the same for men, little boys and little girls with daddy and mom, whether it's the similar situation, but I have gone through my life and I used to say, I'm just not seen. And I would hide behind, and I'm rising up the corporate ladder, just, you know, killing it. I mean, like literally doing everything for everybody. Like I would walk around and make sure my boss and everybody around me I couldn't leave, you know, the office at night if my boss was still there. What can I do for you? I mean, crazy. And then I was so sad because I always felt like I'm unseen, but I can trace that back to my father, that I wasn't seen by my father. And so I'm like, I've had that my whole entire life, and every pattern lined up to repeat that. Everybody kind of.
That's what we do. I mean, if we have unhealed wounds from our childhood, we try to heal them the best we can with our, you know, employers or husbands or wives or kids or friends or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. It's all projections that give us yet another chance to heal.
Right.
Healed yet. Right.
Yeah, and you've done a ton of healing in this area,
yeah.
for sure. When we first met, I said she was the chameleon. Now this woman is the furthest from a chameleon ever.
I could if I wanted to.
I'm sure you
but
could.
I don't want to.
But you don't want to. But she very much, at least within the workplace, very much.
Well,
showed
let's
up in
talk about
regard.
that, because
Yeah.
I think this goes to your work, which I find just very intriguing, and really had a really nice think about that. Our last conversation, which I'll treasure forever, actually, is when I was really started out my career, not because I liked it. It was because I thought I could be respected and I could make some money. That was the only reason why. That was it. Yeah. And so as I'm leaving the corporate ladder, I not only started emulating men by having to wear a tie to work as a public accountant. I was a CPA. But I was telling you that, you know, it's like, go, do. Here's a set of objectives, get them done. If you can't get them done, you need to be fired. I mean, like there was the heart, leading from the heart was nowhere in that.
Yeah.
And you were talking about that the masculine had taken over, and somehow I started evening myself out. I think Gina helped me with that, but I did in this last job start really understanding that this is not who I am and how I want to behave. Right. And I thought I had to do it to get ahead. And I see so many beautiful women, and I see this more in women, is that we tend to embody that masculine so much because I think we think, and you're going to tell us what we think. I think we
Trust me, Holly likes it when we do that.
I know. Yeah. I love it. Okay. I think we think that's the only way to get ahead, which I know is wrong, but please tell us about that.
Yeah. Debunk it for us, please.
It has been the right way for so many thousand years. The masculine has been ahead of the female energy, but now that we're entering this time age, the female energy becomes more dominating in both men and women. So it's actually time. It's time.
Yeah.
And some of us has been ahead of time. Looking back, I've been 10, 15 years ahead of mainstream doing what I've been doing. But you see more and more women doing this exodus of the corporate world, right?
Yes.
Because they feel, they come into contact with feeling contracted.
Yes.
Feels heavy, and I'm motivated out of fear. So when we get that kind of attention, you know, reflecting back upon ourselves from the outside, we can see, okay, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? And we come more and more in contact with that longing and that dreaming, and we have more and more role models that have paved the way, and we kind of like, maybe it's for me as well. And I mean, if we don't listen, our higher self, our soul will throw something into our flow that will wake up us, you know, wake us up. So if we snooze that voice the first time, the second time, the third time, you know, a wake-up call will arrive at your doorstep at some point.
Holly lovingly calls that the universal 2x4.
I do.
Like, you know, at some point, you know, you're going to get a whack across the backside or the head if you don't.
Well, I don't
pay
like
attention.
that, and I was
Nobody
saying,
wants that.
please
So,
don't do that. But I do see what you say. You know, the
Yeah.
universe calls, the universe calls. And I feel like in my instance, for me, it was so uncomfortable. I waited so long that it was more uncomfortable to stay than to actually take the leap and go. And I know that you coach on and about, you're a catalyst for change. And how do you help people? Maybe, and everything happens at the right time. So but I believe you can. I believe you can
ready yourself.
Yes,
yeah, ready yourself sooner. Yes.
Timing. So I'm not saying that I'm in bad timing. I just want to be clear about that. I'm in perfect timing, but I believe that you can ready yourself in a different way quicker. Do you believe that? And how would you coach our audience on
kind of prepare yourself and ready yourself?
If you're not really feeling that you're 100% aligned in your daily purpose, that's a big thing.
Yeah, it's huge.
If you have that feeling, that is for sure a sign that it's time for you to move on. And it's time to, you know, lean back into faith that this universe has got your back. And I know it's so hard for people not to, you know, take the first step until we have that 100% inner trust to ourselves, to life, to the universe, you know, but take the leap, because it is a signal. And I usually use the picture of, if you have a hand on the stove and somebody turn it up to 1, you know, you can actually apply your free will and move it.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, you know, turn it up to 2 and think, this is getting hot, and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. And some people are able to live life with the hand on 9 stove, you know, and it's like, we can move it. So just be aware of the signs, because the signs are there for the very beginning. And if you don't know, so what is my path from here? What's calling from the future for me? Then what I do, and probably what many other coaches do, is to, at first, I don't like to catch fish for people. So I'm the kind of coach that likes to teach people how to coach themselves. So prior to a session with me, people watch me, you know, giving a speech on the law of attraction, the epigenetics, the inner man, the inner woman, and, you know, how to find your genius zone, so that they have a basic knowledge as to, so what is the universal laws that applies to my life, right? So when they come here, they are ready to, you know, jump in, because I'm a very impatient coach. I really like that within one session, people will come really far. So in the beginning, I ask people, so what in your life feels heavy? Where do you feel contracted? Where do you lack flow? Where is your body speaking loudly or just silently? Just to map it out. Because when you know that, and you also know that this life is meant to be easy and joyful and meaningful, you know that what has been manifested there is due to the inner resistance.
Yes.
So we can actually fairly easy map out the belief system that makes you the vibrational match to your current reality, right? So we get a clear picture of your current status, right? And then I'm a facilitator in something called the passion test, if you know of that.
Yes, I've taken that.
Yeah. So so I was taught by Janet Atwood way back 14. Yeah. And I used
the author.
Yeah, I used that to sort of shift everything 180 to get clear vision on, so where do I want to go? Because then we go back to the longings and the dreams, everything we are, thinking we want, but we cannot have. And we map that out. And then when we do the markers that goes with your top 5 passion, which becomes your, brainwash vehicle for the next couple of months, I use all the input we had on, so what is the inner resistance? And then you can formulate sentences that are targeted into the center of your limiting belief systems. And then fairly quickly, you can, within sometimes 24 hours, things are starting to shift because you have also the level of consciousness as to why am I currently a vibrational match to this, so that you can jump out of that drama triangle where you see yourself as a victim, right? Or in my case, with my upbringing, see myself as a savior. So I want to run around and save everyone, right? Or the perpetrator, whomever you are, right? But because in that drama triangle, we give away our power. So everything I do is about getting into the center of the drama triangle, where you are aligned, heart rate, coherence, and you're in 0, right? Because then you can start to manifest, and you can start manifesting from your subconscious part of yourself.
Right.
So to begin with, you're a victim. Then you are trained and become a conscious manifester. The problem with that, period, is that it's usually from our inner man. But we have to move through that because we're sort of cleansing out our limiting belief systems. And once that is done, you can then move into that your higher self is just flowing through you, that you are not really focused on, so I need to manifest the house at the sea,
right,
the car, and right. It's more like a feeling state. And once you're cleared all your inner blockages, it can just sort of, flow through. Yeah. So I use another tool that frees you from old trauma and shocking experiences on a cellular level, because that is also, the
resistance. Yeah.
I love that. Gosh. Well, and I want to just say that I gave for one Christmas everybody the Passion Test book. I took the Passion Test. I was like, this is like a while ago, 2010. I always knew that I was not doing the right thing, like in my professional job. I always knew. And so I'm surprised.
From the very beginning.
From the very beginning. I mean, I knew. And so we did the Passion Test. But what you're saying, what I find so compelling is that I, and whoever I gave this book to, I needed somebody to help me look at that resistance deeper. Yeah. To go deeper. And having a coach would have been, I could have shifted things so much faster.
Quicker. Yes.
Back then, had I actually known that, but I was in love with the book. I think it's wonderful, but I do think having a coach such as you to help really flush that out, that is the key, the feeling state. I don't know that I ever got to the feeling state of but I did my 5 things, and I just threw that out recently. I should go back and look at that. I usually keep everything, but.
And I remember Janet Atwood being pretty impressed by the results I had with my clients.
Yes.
And she asked me if I could explain why I was so good at it. Whereas, and it all stems down to the level of consciousness of the passion test facilitator.
Right.
Yes.
And also that part of the thing I told you where I map out.
Yes.
So what is your A? So I cannot. What I find is if I just ask people about the passion test, I take them through and I haven't done the inner work first, it's only the surface that we scratch.
That's how I feel too. When you were saying your process, I don't know how many people do that actual mapping. And, I'm wondering if also there's some healing that is going on in a cellular level from you to your
yes, of course,
participants, the way you're holding. I don't know whether to call it holding space, or it seems like it's not the best way to say it, but definitely how you're helping them.
I do say that I am a space holder, so you can say that.
And a healer. I mean, I guess that's what it is. A space holder, healer. Holding seems passive. Healing is active. So, a healer.
But it's inner healing. It is actually holding the space for the healing, the inner healing to take place by itself. So I'm not the active part.
I gotcha. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes that is interesting.
That's your inner corporate woman that has a trouble seeing that just holding the space could be valuable.
Right. Exactly.
Totally. No, I'm recovering. I'm a recovering corporate person.
Wait, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Some of you are further ahead than others.
But you're right. I feel like I have to do, I probably have some work to do in that area, Gina, still, because I feel like I have to do still, you know?
Yeah, I think that's, when you're making big changes in your life and when you're eager to be somewhere you've wanted to be for so very long, I think and we have this inner masculine that's been nurtured and nurtured and nurtured in our corporate world for forever, our whole life. Even you go back to being in school, even in the classroom, the inner masculine was praised, acknowledged, seen. The inner feminine was not, even in school, right? Huge. So our entire life was born, that's been nurtured. And so, that's really a challenge for people to probably sit back and start to embrace that inner feminine.
Because it's so strong.
It's so strong. It's so I loved your rewiring, remapping at a cellular level. It will take that to move relatively quickly forward, I would think, it's a complete rewiring almost,
But doing that, you can actually hold space for, a quantum leap. I've seen it again and again. I've had chronic sick people coming here that, the doctors has given up on people. And after a session here, they have been healed and the chronic disease is no longer there. So I know that this works at a very deep level.
Can you talk about, because I've been spending a lot of time personally thinking about this for myself and really connecting my brain with my body. And so when you talked earlier about the hand on the stove, it really resonates for me, because I think if you disconnect your head from what's going on in your body, you will put up with so much
you can do that
pain, right? You can do that, right? Or you can ignore it long enough that mind over matter. And I think that's part of our competitiveness as humans. And I know that's a big part of it for me too, is I'm just going to ignore that. I'm going to power through it because I can do it. But in doing so, the damage that does to your soul, your purpose, your energy, your health is significant. Can you talk a little bit about the integration of head and body and the work that you're doing to kind of help people get in their body and really listen to it? Because it's so critical that we're listening to our body.
Is it the body? Is it the heart? Is it what is it?
Great question. Yeah.
So if I have a one-on-one session, the consciousness that will shift something in the body as well. But if you're here listening to this podcast and you didn't have a one-on-one session, you can start by noticing the small needs that you have during the day. So for example, do you feel like going to the toilet? Go to the freaking toilet now. If you're thirsty, have a drink now. If you're hungry, eat now. If you're tired, rest now. That is the fastest track back to honoring your body, and for your body to be more confident in that. So the signals I sent are being noticed. So you kind of have to, peel the layers, because your body has been so used to not being noticed that it doesn't really feel safe sending signals.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so good. So I've never heard it said like that. That's beautiful.
So that's why you need to go back to the basics, because having a problem with that, connecting heart-brain coherence and feeling your body stems from that belief system of I'm not lovable and my needs are not important. If you've been brought up that way and you've been pushing your own needs aside, you kind of, you can stand there on the stove and not even think that it's hot, right? So you are entering a journey, a process of becoming more and more sensitive and more vulnerable. But you need this sensitivity in order for you to, live out your purpose.
Right.
Because your purpose is where what you love doing, what you're good at, where people ask you anyway, you can earn a lot of money. So if you have a belief system counteracting that ease of things, you will never move into your zone of genius. You will have too much inner resistance, and you will continue to be a vibrational match to hustle instead of flow.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know.
Listen, I'm the hustle's got to go. The flow's got to show up. So I'm all about.
So right, that's where I was going. So obviously, I think most, and maybe you can tell us if this is wrong, but most things really stem from this childhood messages, trauma, whatever we receive, that we walk along with a bag behind us and try to make up for it. You get us as a client. Here we come, Gina. You get us as a client, and we have, I'm not good enough. I'm not seen. I'm not, and that makes up 0.1% of resistance. I don't know. It feels like a lot more.
It feels like way more than that. I know.
Like 75% resistance. Okay, but how is it? And you can take a quantum leap, but how easy? Maybe it's not easy. I want to say easy. I'm going to say it. How easy is it to flip that switch, or cure that, or fix that resistance? And maybe that's an unfair question, but if it's not easy, what does it take to do that? What's the level of?
Yeah. So how quickly could you, the quicker way to ask this question is just, how quickly do you think you could fix us, Susanne? How quickly do you think you'll fix us?
I think that with one-on-one session, you would get really far. Some seats are seats immediately, and some seats are like Christmas trees.
Right.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So, and it's all connected. It's all connected to your life purpose, because all the pieces we pick up are pieces in the collective puzzle. So sometimes we need, like me, married, divorced 3 times. Why? Because I needed a PhD in relationships. Right?
Yes.
And I use it now in all relationships, and teach people the laws of the universe through that. So we need not worry too much about all the heartache, because it actually gave us a PhD in something. But I usually use a picture of, so let's say when you're born, you are born with this house, your soul house. So as a soul, you're ambitious and you want to make an add-on to this soul house. That is the purpose of life, to build more square meters, right?
Right.
Now, building that add-on to the house, we know that it's dusty, it's noisy, it's everything. So we put up something that enables us to live in the soul house as long it takes to this add-on to be done, right? So a session with me is more like tearing down what we put up so that we can have a move-in party and just get rid of all the inner resistance that is the A version of your reality. So you can actually shift it. I can come with an example of, I've done mastermind sessions with people, directors, CEOs over half a year. And to prove my point that it is all about inner resistance and the manifestation process, sometimes we sit down and we discuss something that none of us has inner resistance to. I remember us talking about butterflies for 5 minutes, just in all shadow forms, shapes of butterflies, right? Within 24 hours, all of us had unusual experiences with butterflies. I recall having a session in my living room, and it was in the winter. And all of a sudden, this butterfly comes out the chimney.
No way.
And I stand up. I wanted to let it out. It sat itself on my shoulder. I opened the door and it flew out. And another one of the participators, she was at a workshop and somebody had a lot of PowerPoints. And one of these PowerPoints was filled with butterflies. It was totally out of context.
Yes.
Right?
Wow.
So
Right.
It makes no sense. But she has been focused, her intention on that. And we need not focus our intention more than 68 seconds on something for it to create enough energetic momentum that it has to manifest itself. And the pace with what, how quickly this happens stems with the level of inner resistance.
68 seconds. I mean, that's incredible. That meets my needs as instant gratification.
You just got to make sure your switch to the light bulb doesn't have like 6 other spots in the middle that attract it, right?
But I want to. Yes, but it's also a call to make sure what you're focusing your attention on for 68 seconds.
Yeah. So our mind is the worst advisor ever. What the mind does is that it really looks for where can things go wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's just not a good combo with the law of attraction, right?
No, not at all.
So you need to think down into your heart and let it come from there. So when you say, I can focus on anything within 68 seconds, I can manifest it, that is only truth to the extent that it is in alignment with your soul purpose.
Right.
Gotcha. Oh, I love that. It's in alignment with our soul purpose.
Soul purpose.
If it's not
68 seconds wasted.
We need to follow the path of least resistance and most joy. That is the fastest track to the bliss zone. Plus, we talked about being very, observant as to what is my need here and now. What is my need? What is my need? What is my need? What is my need?
Yeah.
And then sink into the truth that when your higher self sends you guidance with your inner GPS, which is open 24/7, and you feel like having something, that will automatically also be for the higher good for everyone else.
Yeah.
That is also a belief system we need to crush. Because if we have, I'm not lovable and my needs are not important,
right,
we can never get into that, because we would think that, okay, I would take away something from everyone else by meeting my needs.
right?
I love that. I fully embrace that. That's absolutely.
Yeah. And it's something I deal with right now, and because of my alignment with, and whatever value system I have is that my purpose is to serve others more than self, right?
You're the savior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not. I have needs, Gina.
Yes, I know.
I'm always talking about my
get
needs.
it. I get lists often from her, which is delightful. But it is breaking that cycle feels as if you're doing harm or someone will lose something.
Yeah. But it's the opposite of that, Gina.
Right. I know.
That's why your brain, I mean, we love our brains, okay, but they must be tamed.
They must be tamed.
Or, yes. Integrated.
Rewired. Like Susanne is going to do for me soon in a private session.
Exactly.
And I'm going to take a quantum leap and I'll let you know where I land.
Yeah. Well, I want to be cognizant of time. I mean, I could really I want to pull her through the Zoom.
We're going to be booking a trip to Denmark soon. I have a feeling.
Yes, exactly.
Sure.
So I'm sure she has Zoom sessions. So Gina,
I'm sure she
we
does,
just have to get the right time.
It's not the same. Yeah, it's not the same.
No. So I'm wondering, Susanne, do we have time for a blessing, or?
I have time for that thing, the collective apology and prayer.
Collective apology and prayer. I think that's wonderful.
Well, maybe before I would love to wrap up with that. I think that would be really beautiful. I think maybe before we do that, Susanne, if you can just share where guests, and we'll put all this in the show notes as well, where guests can get a hold of you and reach out, and I think would be fantastic to share if you don't mind.
So my website is called susannefrandsen.dk. And if you click in the right-hand corner, you can find the English flag, which will make it much easier for you to understand.
Yes, it does.
And you can also, if you wish, download 2 free ebooks, e-guides I have. I have one on how to break through crisis with grace and strength, 7 strategies to do that. And I also have one called How to Become a Magnetic Leader, which is about, so how do I become a vibrational match to the way I want to lead, maybe with not a singular focus on performance, but on a passionate and people thriving, because if people do that, results will come afterwards, but in that order. So you're welcome to download that. And
thank you. Very generous. We'll put everything in the show notes.
For sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
So are you up for 10 minutes of intense
yes,
going into the inner woman and inner man?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes. Cool. So I'm going to read out this loud to you and everyone listening. So this is the collective apology and forgiveness prayer. You are now ready to receive healing and release old wounding from all lifetimes behind where you have been a man or a woman. We are now calling in all your energetic support teams, healers and spirits from all corners of the world and all directions in time and space, past, present, and future. We now ask them to help us cleanse and clear all memories, beliefs, imprints, trauma, and erase any wounding from gender that creates the illusion of separation between the feminine and masculine. We call upon the sacred union of feminine and masculine of all lifetimes to allow the ancient love affair between the feminine and masculine to be present, to heal in all directions of time and space, past, present, and future. Men.
Jeg kan ikke se future i din musik.
Beloved men and women, now open your hearts to receive the collective apology and forgiveness prayer. Men to women, beloved women, now open your heart as wide as you can to receive the collective healing message from your brothers to all girls and women in this world. I apologize for my endless absence, the reflection of my inner absence and inability to connect with myself from an open heart, and that I did not have the tools to release jammed emotions. I apologize for the inability to distinguish relationship from war. Like a warrior in enemy territory, I sneaked in and out of your life at night and took what I needed. I now recognize that love is the antidote to war. I apologize for not seeing you. My eyes and heart were closed from concealed rage and unshed tears. I could not see myself. My mirror was a battlefield. I apologize for my ungrounded materialism and tyrannies and my obsessions with accumulation that I thought would protect my loved ones. I apologize for my egoic abuses, the reflection of my own misguided ego. Pumped up to deal with a competitive world, I could not distinguish from the unhealthy, cocky ego and the confident, healthy ego. I apologize for all sexuality that was objectifying and disconnecting me from my heart. I know you longed for real intimacy and merging of our souls along the heart genital highway, but there were too many defenses around my heart. Sometimes your heart led me to shed my body masks, but I did not have the tools to stand firm in the heart fire of yours. Now I know your longing was the longing for the path to God. I apologize for my horrifying acts of violence, the reflection of my own concealed inner rage, my own inability to distinguish real enemies from friends. There are no words that can undo what I have done in those moments of madness. I need to own my own misdeeds and the shame. I call out my brothers to stand courageously side by side in compassion. I apologize for my inability to create a relationship. I was too attached to my individualism and was afraid to detach from it in my resistance when you stood there with your open heart. I apologize for all the times I was hiding behind my masks, pretending to be something that I am not in order to be called out as a failure. I apologize for not being sensitive and vulnerable and leaving you in drama. I compared it to weakness and I hid behind armor, but now I know all you wanted was for me to show myself in vulnerability. We thank you, we thank you, we thank you, we thank you. So women, please take it all in. Feel the deep compassion and radical forgiveness. Feel it entering your physical body and auric field. Open your heart and let the men see that you hear them and feel them. Feel deep in your heart if you can receive and accept the sacred apology and let it penetrate every cell of your body in all directions of time and space, past, present, and future. And now all women to men. Beloved men, now open your heart as wide as you can to receive the collective healing message from your sisters to all boys and men in this world. I apologize for pushing you to open your heart when you were not ready. I longed to meet you in my openness and could not bear the disconnect. I took your silence personally, and I didn't understand the relationship between your detachment and your warrior conditioning. I do now see your role as the warrior protector, and your emotional armor was fundamental to your task. I apologize for not always seeing your limitations and struggles, and for not being able to see behind my expectations of that fantasy of the knight in shining armor that would come and rescue me that I grew up with. I apologize for not seeing how stressed you were and how difficult it was for you to hold it all together. I apologize for giving you mixed emotional messages. At times, I wanted softness and tenderness. Other times, I wanted dominance and protection. I see how challenging that must have been. I apologize for not being able to express my desire and needs clearly, and therefore being a passive aggressive towards you. I was not taught to express my anger directly, and I was afraid of your anger. I know that you had similar conditioning with sadness and tears. I apologize for my horrifying acts of violence, psychologically abusing and manipulating in order to get my needs met, and using sex and love to get what I wanted from you. I now take responsibility for the madness in my behavior, and I see how it amputated you as a man. I apologize for expecting you to fill my emptiness when I know that only I am the only one who can fill it. I looked for answers in relationships and thought others could complete me. I apologize for all those moments where I discouraged your power, when I cut off your balls and disconnected you. I couldn't see the difference between the historical misuses of masculine power. Now I see you communicated through actions and not words. We thank you, we thank you, we thank you, we thank you. So all men, please take it all in. Feel the deep compassion and radical forgiveness. Feel it entering your physical body and auric field. Open your heart and let the people in your life see that you're here and feel them. Feel deep in your heart if you can receive and accept the sacred apology, and let it penetrate every cell of your body in all directions of time and space, past, present, and future. Now, finally, let's bridge both genders, both energies, brothers and sisters. We have both been victims, been suffering, been denied, abandoned, and so on. Pain and restraint has disconnected us. We have done all of this in the name of love, but we were blind, and now we choose love as our true nature to bring light to all beings and remember that we are all one. We now accept our humble humanness, and step by step, we will create new paths from our sacred divine feminine and masculine and meet in our true nakedness. Together, side by side, connecting in love, consciousness, pleasure, playfulness, forgiveness, and unity. Find someone in your life, connect eye to eye, while offering the gift of radical forgiveness and the unique expression of divine love in our siblings. Feel the divine union bringing balance to the feminine and masculine in yourself, merging the two energies and harmonizing them inside you, healing ancient wounds and offering the gift of deep compassion while restoring the sacred trust within you, and from there trust the highest intuitive guidance in you in all directions of time and space, past, present, and future. If you can look into the eyes of someone new, you can say, I am seeing you in seeing me. I am seeing me in seeing you. Send it out, radiate it to all sentient beings from the highest good. Now take a deep breath and fill up your frequency energy system with this balanced feminine masculine energy and send it out into the cosmos. Aho.
It was beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Susan.
You're welcome. What a pleasure.
Really was. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.